Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's presentation at Chicago Mitzvah Campaign. Now, as a son of a Holocaust survivor, one of the things that I do, that I do to honor the memory of my dad is to attend a lot of pro-Israel events. And there is a woman, there is a woman who is running for the United States Congress who has been at several of these events that I regularly attend. Her name is Laura Fine, and it means so much to me every time I see her there. So why am I bringing this up? Because her husband is speaking today, Michael Fine, who is equally as amazing as she is.
Yeah, I would not go that far.
Now, I am not gonna tell anything of his story because I wouldn't do it any justice. But he's such an inspiring guy. I would love for you all to meet and hear Michael Fine speak.
Before he starts, let's all turn our cell phones quiet. He's going to speak in a microphone. It was just Ed.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much to Lisa and my dear friend Ed. It's truly an honor to be here among this company. I am the grandson of a kosher butcher.
I'm the son of a kosher.
There you go. That's it. And we're kind of Bazai brothers from the west side by the name of Isidore Fine. My father was raised in that butcher shop, and I didn't know what chicken or fish was until I was about 9 years old, because I grew up eating the meat and the lamb from the butcher shop that nobody bought. So by the time that I had chicken and fish, at that point they were all new sensations to me at 9 years old, and I am an avowed meat eater. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm humbled and fortunate and grateful to be here with you all to share my story and my message of hope at a time in our lives that many of you have lived through once, that I've only heard about and read about, and now here we are again. Fortunate and grateful might seem like odd words to use in light of what you're about to hear, but it's true. I'll open with this. You, we, all of us each have the ability to heal from anything. We each possess the unique ability to heal from physical, mental, emotional, spiritual trauma. I say this to you all not because I heard it from someone else or studied it in a book or saw it online. I say this to you all because for the last 15 years I've lived it, day in and day out. With the right tools in your life, nutrition, lifestyle, faith, hydration, mindfulness, your body's natural predisposition is to heal from things. You may have noticed something is missing from my body when you came into the room. It's a left arm. About 15 years ago, this past spring, while driving to work on a beautiful spring sunny day in Chicago, I was struck head-on by a truck at about 45, 50 miles an hour. A concrete truck. That truck drove up my hood, through my windshield, and took my left arm off at the shoulder. And since that day, I have been living a life in pain. Phantom pain, chronic residual limb pain, the technical term. The actual syndrome is called chronic residual limb pain syndrome. You see, I still feel this left arm that you can't see as if it was still attached to my body. It feels as if it's encased in a block of ice and being squeezed all the time. Changes externally, weather, temperature, barometric pressure, many of the things that you probably also suffer from dealing with any type of nerve type disorder, arthritis, fibromyalgia, are things that I feel. The internal triggers, the things that we all feel, especially what we're living through right now in the world that we're in, the emotional triggers, stress, fear, anxiety, those things also serve to exacerbate the quantity and the caliber of the level of pain that I feel. Many may look at my situation as a loss, a traumatic accident that resulted in the loss of a limb. But I choose to view my situation very differently. Not only did I survive a horrific car accident that I really, quite frankly, never should have walked away from, but I've gained so much more than I've lost. I've been so fortunate to have had many amazing people come to my aid and rescue me in many different ways since that fateful day. During this time, I've ridden an emotional roller coaster, reaching the highest of highs and unfortunately the lowest of lows, and then back up again. Thank God I'm here with you all today. The day of the accident, April 14, 2010, started out, like I said, as any other ordinary day in my life. Driving to work, out of nowhere, this truck crosses the center line, hits me at 45, 50 miles an hour. I can honestly tell you that I fortunately don't really remember anything up until that point or after that point of impact. Big red blur in my face, and that was it. The synergy and the collaborative energy that happened after that accident was nothing short of a miracle. You see, there was a man driving in the adjacent lane to me who witnessed the accident, stopped his car, jumped out of his car, picked up my arm, marshaled a bunch of people around us. The accident happened right off of Devon and Milwaukee, between Caldwell and Devon, about a block from Superdog. It's just kind of a landmark, I think, for the neighborhood. He jumped out, like I said, picked up the arm, marshaled a bunch of people around us because we were right next to a forest reserve, grabbed a bunch of twigs, and then fashioned a tourniquet out of tree twigs and rags to save my life. His name is Eric Coleman. His name is saved in my phone as Earth Angel. To this day, he doesn't think he did anything. I happen to be the third guy that Eric has saved, so Earth Angel is probably about the best name that I can have for the guy. He's not a doctor. He works in the food service industry, just kind of like MacGyver, knows what to do, when to do it, and was fortunately there to save my life. You don't realize when you lose your left arm, because it's so close to where your heart is, you have about 7 to 10 minutes before all the blood is pumped out of your body because it's right next to your femoral artery. Eric did such an amazing and efficient job at making this tourniquet that when I got to the hospital, I didn't even need a blood transfusion. He was able to cut it off that quickly. My kids have grown up calling this guy Uncle. He's an uncle in the truest sense of the word. We see him on a regular basis. He still tries to pay for dinner sometimes when we go out. And I told him if I had $20 left to my name, I'd borrow $50 to be able to take him out to dinner, because you'll never pay as long as I'm still on this planet. But just a beautiful, beautiful human being. The next leg of my journey after Eric saved me for the first time that day was to Lutheran General Hospital, where I spent about 14 hours in the trauma ward with a orthopedic trauma surgeon, saving my life for the second time that day. I spent 6 weeks after that in Lutheran General recovering, underwent 8 surgeries, 2 more than that following year, 2 more the year after that. Now I'm way past double digits. I imagine many of you have me beat, just based on the fact that you got me by a couple of years in here. But it's not something I would recommend to anybody. Those surgeons were wonderful. The staff of that hospital was wonderful. I had chaplain rabbis coming in from all over. Side note, I had a rabbi come in probably right after I came out of the ICU. One of the first visitors in my hotel, or my hotel room, was like a hotel, my hospital room, was an Orthodox Chabad rabbi, and at the time I didn't really realize the significance of what he had asked. I did later, but he said, "Is it possible to reattach the arm?" And I said, "No, Rabbi. The arm is severely mangled, and there was no way for them to reattach it." He said, "Would you be interested in me, once you get out of the hospital, officiating a ceremony to bury your arm, to do it?" And I looked at him like he had three heads. I had no concept of understanding why anyone would want to bury a part of, like am I going to visit it like I go visit my parents at the cemetery? Am I going to go visit my arm at the cemetery? But after I talk a little bit more about what happened post all of this, the point of it was that it's part of the grieving process. That when you lose someone or something, that it's a mechanism to help you to grieve. And it's a very old Jewish tradition that I had never heard of. And again, I told you my father was raised Orthodox, I was raised Reformed, but something I'd never heard of. And that's popped into my mind just being here and being among you all right now because of the audience. Spending that time in the hospital was a challenge, but I was surrounded by wonderful people on wonderful narcotics via intravenous drugs to help me with the pain. I spent 6 weeks in that hospital, and like I said, I came out of that hospital filled with a profound sense of gratitude for pretty much not dying. I didn't do anything heroic. I just made it through all those surgeries and came out. It brought me home to the summer to recuperate and heal. During the summer, I visited many doctors and had tons of physical and occupational therapy, all in an effort to learn to regain my balance, figuratively and literally, and an attempt to manage the intense pain, quite frankly, that I still feel to this day. The pain really is due to, from all I've gathered, is even though the arm itself is gone, because the arm was ripped off in that accident, all the nerves and the framework, there's millions of nerves throughout where that arm was, were pulled and strained, and my brain still sends electrical impulses down through those nerves, even though that arm is no longer there. And that process is what I believe causes that, causes the pain. And quite frankly, it hasn't changed in all these years. I told you about the internal and the external triggers that cause the pain. In addition, I was on a 35 pill a day diet of pretty much everything you've ever heard of, from opioid-wise, Norco, Vicodin, Oxy, Methadone, morphine, fentanyl, you name it. I was on all that stuff. The nerve blocker pills, the gabapentin, the Lyrica, the side effect pills to those pills to go to the bathroom, pills to stop going to the bathroom, pills to go to bed, pills to wake up, side effect pills to those pills. Add to that equation, the man who hit me at the time didn't have insurance in his car. My dad passed about a month before that accident. My mom was diagnosed at stage 4 2 months after that accident and given 6 months to live. All of this helped to spiral me down into a deep, dark, suicidal depression. I spent about a month and a half of my life after all this stuff was going on, while my wife and my 2 young kids at the time, in 7th and 5th grade, were sleeping in their beds. I was in my basement with a belt around my neck over a door. I was in my garage with the car turned on and the door shut. I don't know if I was really trying to kill myself. I had a lot of different pills available to me to do that effectively. It culminated, though, with me taking a bottle of pills, not the opioids, a bottle of Lyrica, actually, that that had me drink this awful charcoal stuff to get my stomach punctured, which was probably worse than killing myself, quite frankly. But that day, my wife and my oldest at the time, who was in 7th grade, came home and found me on the kitchen floor. Back into the hospital that I emerged a month and a half prior as a hero, again, for not dying, not for doing anything heroic. Into the ward where they took my belt and my shoelaces away, with a lot of people struggling from drug and alcohol addiction. No judgment, but how did I fall so far so fast? I spent about a week in that ward. I'm a recovering attorney by profession, so I did my best to try to negotiate my way out of that place, because I knew that I belonged in that place, but I couldn't be in that place any longer because it was that terrible being in that place. We were under a mountain of debt because the guy, like I said, who hit me didn't have any insurance. The health insurance policy that I had at the time was before the Affordable Care Act was in place. So my health insurance company, Humana, at the time tried to cancel my policy, tried to rescind my policy. So while I was in the hospital, working my way through suicide attempts, my wife was getting collection notices from doctors' offices, because we had $650,000 of bills after all this stuff happened. It culminated in basically that attempt, going back in there, spending a week in there, coming out of there. You don't really know how deep the well is until you see the perspective of the depth of the well from the bottom of the well up. I'm sure many of you can relate to some of the experiences that you've gone through in your life. But many of the people looking from the top of the well down, going, wow, it looks pretty deep down there, has no idea of the depth. And anyone that's had the, and I choose to look at it as the fortune of being able to see life from the bottom of the well up perspective, kind of creates a fraternity or a sorority, so to speak, for others, to connect to other people that have been through things that most people can't even imagine. And that, to me, is really the point. I came out of that hospital searching for a new way forward. How can I get my life back? How can I get off these pills? How can I find my new normal? I went very Eastern in my approach to medicine. Acupuncture, Reiki, craniosacral therapy, sensory limitation flotation, cryotherapy, massage therapy, cupping, mindfulness work, all these different types of things to help try to get my head around how can I find my new normal again. It eventually led me to the practice of a very specific type of yoga that I won't bore you with, because that could be another 2-hour conversation, because that's my new job. For the last 10 years, I've been teaching original hot yoga. It's a specific system that people use to work every area of their body to eventually heal from things that people tell them that they can't heal from. I vividly remember, at the deepest, darkest times of my depression, my beloved mother suffering, from lung cancer. Truly the best person that I've known, next to my wife, who I'll talk about in a bit, looking at me at the deepest, darkest part of my depression, saying, Michael, if you're not going to try, I'm not going to try either. And that, along with searching and searching and searching and finally finding something that helped me deal with the pain, was the mechanism, was the foundation that I rebuilt my life on, moving forward. I'm not telling anyone in this room, especially, not to take your pills and to go sit on an amethyst and woozy and that's going to all make you better. Okay, but we as people have the ability to heal. And healing, like everything else in your life, on some level, is a choice and is a perspective that you have to have. And I can tell you, when you face life from a perspective of gratitude, with a little bit of faith and hope, more likely than not, you're going to experience a positive result than if you go into something knowing that it's going to be the worst thing ever and this can't possibly work, this can't possibly help me, it's someone else's job to fix me, I'm giving my power away to someone else to heal me. Okay, when all of us possess that ability from an inside out space to start that process. Where it goes from there, I can't speak from anybody else's experiences. I can't imagine what many of you have been through in the number of years that you've been on this planet. So I'm not saying I understand what you feel. I can just tell you what it's like to look at life from the bottom of the well-up perspective and know that you're not alone. And there are a lot more people that have been in the place that you're in than you realize. And whether it's the concept of tikkun olam, whether it's the concept of we're all connected, whether it's the concept of, I face life through eyes of gratitude, and every day I wake up and I say, who can I help and how can I make the world better? That's come back to me thousandfold in the 15 years since this accident happened. I really believe that it all boils down to three very simple concepts: life itself, choice, faith, and perspective. Okay, you've all heard the scientific principle that the only true constant in life is change. Well, we have no ability to stop change from occurring. We have the capacity to choose how to deal with and cope with change. We can either roll with it like a river that runs into a rock, it easily finds a way around it, or we can choose the opposite of that and fight against it and do so and feel pain. Yes, feeling pain, as I've learned, is also a choice on some level. In other words, by me choosing to allow the pain to dictate the terms of my life, I gave away my power, granting the pain the authority to rule and shape my entire existence. I'm not saying that my pain, your pain itself is not real, but rather than in my mind, I built the pain up to almost an insurmountable obstacle, and I chose to give up and stop fighting for a while, rather than to face it, brace it head on, just like any other part of me. We've also all heard the expression that attitude isn't everything, or attitude isn't everything, it's the only thing. This statement is a profound truth. You see, it's not only about choice, but it's also about faith and perspective. Each and every one of you here has the ability to perceive life in any way that you choose. Your faith in yourself, your faith in others, in God, and perspective in any situation becomes your ultimate reality. You can choose to paint your perspective and your reality in a positive light or a negative light. The choice is totally up to you to make. If you choose the positive route, then more likely than not, you'll be part of a positive outcome. On the other hand, if you choose the negative route, which is also, by the way, your choice, you're virtually guaranteed a negative outcome. I tell you this from my own personal experience. Until the day came that I chose to look at life's obstacles in terms of what I could do with one arm, rather than in terms of what I could not do, the results were negative 99% of the time. When I finally woke up to the simple truth that I had the power to choose to shape my own reality, and armed, pun intended, with this knowledge and faith, my entire outlook changed into a positive state, a sheer gratitude for being alive and being able to watch my boys grow up and grow old with my wife. Now let me tell you a little bit about some of the positive ripples that turned into waves out of my accident. My wife of now 32, almost and a half years, at the time of this accident was teaching political science, American government, and the Constitution at Northeastern Illinois University, part-time while we were raising our kids. When all this stuff happened with the insurance and my depression, she left her job and just started battling the insurance companies. She couldn't understand how we could have an insurance policy one day and pay our premiums and not have any issues, and the next day the insurance company saying, we don't want to cover your bills. It just didn't make any sense to her, because it doesn't make any sense to anybody. She got angry while her suicidally depressed husband was sitting there on the couch drooling, left her university job, studied for the insurance exam to try to understand insurance. She passed her insurance exam and learned that insurance companies, back then, at least in Illinois, had the highest cancellation rate of any state in the country because insurance companies back then dictated the rules, and the consumer aspect of the insurance lobby was very weak. Here we were, an educated couple, a lawyer. My wife's father was a lawyer, trying to figure out which way up was. $650,000 of bills on top of our heads, thinking we were going to lose our house, have to crack all of our retirement accounts, our kids' college accounts, all the things that, and we had insurance. It wasn't like we didn't. She got licensed, got angry, and started fighting. And pretty much the eve of trial, I was going to be the poster child in the state of Illinois for a guy who had an insurance policy while driving to work one day, got hit by a truck, had his arm ripped off, and the insurance company just did a cost-benefit analysis and decided, well, they only got 4 months of premiums, so it wasn't worth them paying $650,000. And what if we were just some people that didn't have an education, that didn't have any resources, some guy working on an assembly line in a factory? 90+% of the bankruptcies in this country are filed for medical bills, and we could have been one of those statistics. So it fueled her to take on the insurance company, battle the insurance company, eventually beat the insurance company. They ultimately wound up paying right before being taken to court. And then the perfect storm happened. At that time, Jeff Schoenberg was a senator who she had been reaching out to for help throughout this entire process. He decided to retire, called my wife and said, "You've been fighting insurance companies for the last year and a half for your husband. Why don't you do that for we the people? Why don't you do that for the state of Illinois? Why don't you come in and see what you can do about making the playing field a little more level for others?" No words. She ran for the House and won. Spent about 6 years in the House, eventually leaving the House, heading insurance in Illinois, passing the most sweeping insurance reforms for we the people in the history of the state, and then spent the last 6 years in the Senate in Illinois, running behavioral health and the behavioral health community. So everything she does is pretty much geared towards insurance and mental health coverage, all of which we suffered from, to make sure that what happened to us won't happen to anybody else. Now she's trying to do this and running for Jan's seat to run for Congress. My oldest at the time of that accident, who was in 7th grade, the boy that found his father on the kitchen floor that day, took me back to the hospital, is now in his final years of his MD, PhD in medical school. From that day on, he wanted to become a doctor. And he's just about finished his PhD, and that's going to be in health policy, and he's working on becoming a psychiatrist, helping specializing in an area for children with mental health issues, OCD, and the like. My youngest at the time was in 5th grade, and started immediately becoming interested in engineering. He just received his PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Michigan. In high school, he started a project called Project Mobility. The whole point of that was to create and 3D print prosthetic limbs for people that couldn't afford prosthetics. I have a front row seat to watch this happen, and from a perch of a podium, teach yoga to people every day and watch them heal from things that people tell them that they can't heal from. I am about the most grateful guy in the world to be able to be here to see that, to be able to come to places like this and see all of your smiling faces. I happened to meet Ed through my wife, who I've become a huge fan of ever since, and I met Lisa through Ed at the Jewish Festival this past summer. So I'm happy to open this up to any questions that any of you may have. I'm happy to hang out and talk with you for a bit. I hope I was clear and you all understood me and you can hear me. And that's all I have to say. Yes, ma'am.
You are by far the most inspirational speaker I have ever heard.
You're very kind.
Very inspirational.
Thank you for your kindness. Again, it's not hard to be.
Korakabot to you.
Thank you.
To go what you went through and to stand and talk about it, you did it just with smile on your face. That's give a lot of feeling.
And
So a lot of
encouragement.
encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, sir.
You know what I want to say.
About 5 years ago, first of all, I think your story is amazing. And for you to be up here and tell people your innermost thoughts is really incredible. And about 5-6 years ago, I was run over by a car in a gas station. And my right foot got run over, and the outside mirror hit my elbow. I was that close to getting completely run over. So when he took off, it was a hit and run. And I'm laying in bed with a broken ankle and just severe pain. I was on those same pills you were on for like months. They didn't do a thing. I was like popping them like M&M.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And you're at a point where you think, why me? What did I do? And you feel so terrible. And you feel like you're not, you almost feel like you're never going to heal. And you're going to be bedridden the rest of your life. I know exactly not exactly, but I know a lot what you went through. You went through a lot worse than I did.
No, don't do that. And you know what? And no one, I so appreciate your kindness and what you said, but don't, listen, anything that you're going through is what you're going through. And it's not a question, it's not a contest. It's not a better or worse or a more or less thing. Your stuff, the word I wanted to use probably isn't the right word to use in here, so I said stuff. Okay, your stuff is your stuff. My stuff is my stuff. And don't ever minimize your stuff against anyone else's stuff. I can't imagine what you went through. And I never look at it from a comparison standpoint. God bless you.
I don't want to take up all the time, but I just want to say my lowest moments were trying to navigate the system.
I know.
You don't even know who to call to get you groceries. And if you don't have family or support, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
I need the fire department to bring me back to my home because they had steps leading up to the porch. It was something I could never do myself. You're befuddled. You don't know where to start, and there are no. Maybe now they have it, the system where if you have this symptom or a problem, you just fit into a certain pattern. But back, I couldn't find anything. I was in Missouri. There were no helpful people or bus rides or people that would do things for you. You had to do everything on your own.
I mean, the fact that an organization like this exists is such a. I mean, I knew a little bit. Ed gave me a little more of a tour and gave me a little bit more knowledge than I had before I came here, and it's such a blessing that this exists and that that people have a place to come for community and for meals and just to be with others at a time when things are really challenging every place is such a mitzvah. It's the perfect name for this place.
Can I say one thing
Sure.
more? I had lawyers calling me wanting to take my case because I had auto insurance for uninsured voters.
Yeah, me too. Fortunately.
Okay, and they wanted to take 1/3 of whatever I was going to earn. I said no, I'm going to do it myself. I'm not a lawyer. I spent about a year or two tracking down all my bills, all the doctors, all the receipts, whatever I needed, and my insurance company, Allstate, paid me 100%. So don't ever think that these lawyers are doing you a favor. They're doing themselves a favor. And when they tell you the insurance company is out to cheat you, it's not true. After I had my surgery, first thing they told me, within a couple days of filing the complaint, they said, you're going to get your full benefit. They didn't argue with me. I couldn't believe it. Because what you hear in the advertisements is that you're always, you're fighting for every penny. And they're going to get you all you can possibly get, but it's not true. So if you know anybody who's in that situation, try to navigate it yourself as far as your insurance money, because they're just out to make their own.
I didn't have the same experience, but I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, but it took a lot of work, a lot of legwork, at least a year to get everything in order.
Wow.
Are you still working as an attorney?
No, again, I'm a yoga teacher full time now. I'm a recovering attorney. That's why I use the recovering term. Because as much as I dislike doing that for a living, is as much as I love doing this for a living. And I think maybe in a few more years, I might be recovered, but and I didn't do any of that kind of law. I just helped rich people get richer, and I paid for transactions and moved money, and it was nothing that was it didn't add anything to the society of looking back.
You're getting so much now.
Oh, thank you, and I think it's why I'm still here, and that's the point, and I think it's the point for everybody is to do because you can, not because you have to, or because someone tells you to, or because you're going to get something to do it, but because you can, and it's right, and that is what comes back to you, tenfold. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm grateful that I'm here and to you.
I'm grateful that you're here too.
Thank you. What has happened to me didn't happen by anything dramatic like what happened to both of you, but also I'm recovering from some real challenges in my childhood, not only with chronic pain, but with a, let's say, a difficult situation growing up.
Sure.
What came upon me just came upon me. And I know what it's like to be at the bottom of that well, even though I do have a perpetually optimistic, though skeptical personality. What I'm concerned about now as I'm healing is trying to figure out not entirely how to get my life back, but how to define what my life will be. I wanted, if you would be kind enough to address that process.
It happened very organically with me. I mean, the yoga, for the most part, became the vehicle, and it didn't start out that way. I mean, a person taught me to do some yoga postures because my literal balance, not just my figurative balance, but both really, was off. I would be falling down and bumping into things and tripping because, when you live your life for 42 or so years with an arm and then one day it's gone, your equilibrium, your sense of balance is off. And this woman, a dear friend of mine at the time, said, let me teach you some postures to help to strengthen your core, the trunk of your tree, so to speak. Because if a tree loses a branch and has a strong trunk, it's still a strong tree. Okay, that makes sense to me. Sure, I'll try some of that. And but that started to be on my path. Once I came out of the path and found the yoga that really helped to change my perspective and my sense of awareness, people just started reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'm going through some really difficult times in my life right now. Would you mind meeting me for a cup of coffee? You live in chronic pain and you went through a lot of crazy stuff and you're like the happiest guy that I know, and I want to talk to you about that and see what you're doing. And and it kind of it just kind of spiraled. And ultimately what I wanted to do with this, once I started teaching the yoga that I teach and practice on a daily basis, was I wanted to take it to other people with disabilities, specifically amputees, but people with any kind of disability that suffer from anything, whether it be from PTSD and trauma and or mental or physical disabilities, and what happens, I think, organically, and when you put that out into the universe, is it finds you. And the best example that I can give of it is the beginning of this summer, because I do a lot of stuff on Facebook and Instagram, just sending out positivity out there, not trying to find my high school girlfriend or anything like that, just trying to I try to stay away from politics on there too, because it's very toxic, especially in light of what my wife does. And this woman found me online from the National Amputee Coalition and said, hey, we lost our yoga teacher and we're having this conference in January for 1,000 amputees. Would you like to come to the conference and teach yoga? And I said, oh, sure. And so, by the way, I'm leaving next week for this camp Maybe next year or the year after, we were thinking about adding yoga to this camp for amputee children in Texas. Would that be something that you'd be interested in? And I said, well, when is it? She said, well, we're leaving in 2 weeks. I said, well, can I come this year? And she was like, are you kidding? And 2 weeks later, I'm on a plane down to Corpus Christi, Texas, teaching yoga to amputee children. And if I had to give you one sentence about the week with those children, I learned a lot more than I taught. I watched what these kids go through on a daily basis. Some people don't go through in their whole life. And every night I laid my head on my pillow and I just couldn't even process the gratitude that was coming out of my, every hole in my body. I was just I couldn't sleep. And, and that really, it just starts from a place of finding something that you love to do. My mom used to tell me all the time growing up, Michael, if you're having a bad day, I don't care how bad it is, stop what you're doing, go out and help somebody. And watch your whole life change. Watch your whole day change. And I heard this 1,000 times growing up. Okay, but my mom was, other than my wife, the best person that I know. They say that every boy wants to try to marry his mom. I came about as close as I could. And my mom loved my wife more than she loved me. She said, if you guys ever get divorced, I get her. So I'm like, I understand. But that's it. And it really is. When you get to that place when you're having your pity party, when you're at that low, and it's just you can't look outside of your own self. Stop what you're doing, go help somebody. I don't care if it's opening up a door, picking up a coffee for somebody at Starbucks, something silly, something stupid, letting someone cut in front of you in the grocery line, but just do something and then just watch what happens. And it's just that's it. But that kind of was the mechanism that put me on the path that I'm on right now, and by the grace of God, I go wide, right? Here I am. That's really, you're really sweet. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Have you considered or looked into some type of Neuralink, some type of brand new technology that would interface with an AI themed prosthetic to regain as much of a functional arm as?
Yeah, the level of my amputation is so high, it's at my shoulder. They have some really great lower extremity. I got amputee envy for people that lost their legs, because they have a lot more stuff for people that lost their legs and lost their arms. I'm a little jealous. But because the amputation level is so high at my shoulder, they haven't really created a bionic shoulder. So they have an arm that I can get. It's $300,000, and maybe it's a little less now. But because there's no shoulder, because I have no residual limb left for it to attach to, that's all I'd really be able to do is that with it.
But your son's going to invent one.
Maybe. He's gone into a different area in that now, and he's into renewable energy these days. What I can't do, I ask for help. What I can do, I do, and that's okay. There's certain things. Okay, there were certain things that I made up my mind after this accident that I said, you know what, I don't really care if I ever have to tie my shoes again. I'll buy slip-ons until the day that I die. Okay. Okay, exactly. Okay, certain things I can't do. The things that I can do, I do. The things that I can't do, I ask for help. And I'm okay with that. If there was something, if I got a Bucky arm from Captain America, and that thing was absolutely, I would get one. I'd get a Bucky arm for sure. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me let her go first.
Yes, of course.
Did you see this traumatic event bring out things that were probably already within you, and it just brought it out? Do you see that there was, or do you see it just strengthened qualities you already
God,
had?
that's a great question.
Can you repeat the question?
She said, did this traumatic event bring out qualities in you that you didn't know you had, or did it enhance your existing qualities? That's a really interesting question. I'd like to say that I wasn't a bad person before this accident, okay? But like many people on this planet, you go through life focusing on what's right in front of you and around you. You're worried about your family, you're worried about your job, you're worried about your income, you're worried about all the things that you worry about, and you don't often see the forest because you're stuck in the trees. And what this experience gave me, because I'm not bright enough to learn by reading it in a book like many people, most people learn things in life through trauma. Most people learn things in life when something changes drastically and something was taken away or changed in an instant. And I think what this experience has given me is a sense of awareness that I didn't have before this happened. And I trust that sense of awareness now more than my sense of sight, my sense of smell, my taste, anything. When I feel something in my gut brain, in my heart, whatever it is that you want to choose to call it, and it feels right to me, I just do it. There have been times it frustrates my wife to no end because she'd be like, well, we're going out to dinner with blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing that tonight. She's like, well, no, it's on our plans. And we're like, yeah, go ahead. Tell them I don't feel well. Tell them whatever you want. I'm not doing that. And it's just more of, it's just a sense of, I just feel when something feels right and something that doesn't feel right. When Ed introduced me to Lisa and she said, would you come and speak to, absolutely. It wasn't even there wasn't a moment of hesitation because I just felt that this would be something good. Am I right every 100% of the time? No, but I'd much rather risk being wrong and being right, and getting to meet all of you and feel this kind of connection to a bunch of other human beings who I've never met in a room, in a moment in time than I would, take by, oh, I made a mistake and sat down and had coffee with someone who I really didn't think was ready to hear what I had to say, and that's so I'd say that, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't wish what I went through on anybody. My worst enemy, I wouldn't wish what I went through on anybody, but I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change it for all the money in the world. I wouldn't change it for not feeling pain. I wouldn't change it for anything, because that awareness that I have now that I never had before is worth more than its weight in gold. And being able to truly see, like really see, not just like look at things, but to be able to see is worth more than anything to me. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
I think attitude is very important. I think what your mother told you as a child, if you looked to see how you can help others, it's a very strong Jewish concept.
Yes, it is.
I had a stroke a few months ago.
I'm sorry.
I was having, everybody says I'm doing very well because I'm putting an effort into it. But I was in rehab with another very nice woman. She had a stroke a couple of weeks after I did, and we were in rehab at Shirley Ryan in Glenview.
That's where I did my rehab in the city. The old RAC back then, before they sold the naming rights. Yeah.
But her attitude was, well, she before the stroke, she ran. She was my age, a couple of years older. That's all, and she ran 3 miles a day, which I didn't, and I don't think I'm going to. But her attitude is, why I should be better by now. It's only a few weeks after the stroke. I should be better by now. She was very. Her thought was, I gotta improve, but they're not doing the right thing here. They're not giving me all the therapies I need and whatever. I think the whole thing is attitude. I would tell her, look, if they're doing the best they can, your body has to heal, blah, blah, blah. Not that I know, I'm an expert on this, but I know for myself, I'm pushing myself. And you have to push yourself. If they're not going to do it for you, they can only push you so much.
But you got to give yourself grace too.
But I felt, I think it's a Jewish attitude, which I'm thankful for, that I have this attitude. It's just, I get emotional.
It's okay.
She had such a different attitude. Couldn't understand it, So I just wanted to share that.
when you suffer from the beginning of time, it's, forward. I think it's something. I think it's something we learn as I think it's ingrained in our DNA. Because we're not going anywhere. Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely. So attitude is very important, and that's all I wanted to share.
I thank you, and I appreciate your
Your
sharing.
mother instilled in you that attitude.
Yeah, like I said, my mother and was next to my wife was the best person that I still talk to her. She's been gone for a lot of years, and I get it. She was just probably the greatest person ever. So, anyways, yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you have a website or a contact info?
I don't, but you can get it from Ed, and I'm happy if any of you want to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you. But I can leave it with Lisa too, and for sure. Yeah.
Can you tell us now? Or?
Sure. My email address?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I don't have. I'm not. I don't have a website.
Can't they find you on Facebook?
Facebook, Michael Fine, Instagram, One Arm Yogi. It's a lot easier to laugh than cry. And my email address is mfine1029, my birthday, at gmail.com.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
I would just like to say that you are the most inspiring speaker that I have ever heard.
You should hear my wife, but you're very kind, and I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of your daughter, so please give her my love as well.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
it was really this.
It was my pleasure, Lisa. Really.
Okay. Nice catch.
Grab it with one hand. Well, you know what? Here, I got one more thing for you guys. I got one more thing for you guys. I'm sorry. So after the accident, I have a really good friend here. I'll get the microphone back in a second. 1 sec. Sorry. I have a really good friend who is an author. One of my best friends since we've been 3 years old. And he came to the hospital after the accident, after I got out of the ICU, and helped me to write at the time I called it a mantra, a mantra to help me through my process of starting to heal. So I usually close by reading this, and I just wanted to read this all to you all because it still hangs over my bed. I still look at it every day. And it's something that was really a succinct mechanism that started me on my path of healing and recovery and finding my new normal. It's short. I am grateful that I'm alive. I choose to not only heal, but thrive in life as a result. Therefore, I choose to fully accept what has happened to me in my left arm. I am grateful for my life, my wife, my children, my family, my friends, and all the love that surrounds me each day. I am blessed and realize there's a tremendous opportunity in front of me to inspire and positively affect many people if that is the road I choose to take. I understand that I have the power to shape the experience of the rest of my life in any way that I desire, and that who I am is not defined by anything physical, but always by who I choose to be as a human being in this very moment. I choose to see only love, gratitude, opportunity, and endless possibility for me in my life. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all.